Hello my beautiful people, welcome to the next in the Numerology project series with me, Raphael from Reydiant Reality. It's an absolute pleasure to have you. Thank you so much for joining me. Thank you so much for being here. So if you haven't already, please don't forget to like, share and hit that subscribe button. If you are already a continued subby, thank you so much for all of your continued support. It truly means the world and I'm so humbled for all of you. If you would like to book a personal tarot reading with me, you can do so on the website address below. If you would like to donate to the channel for any of these videos, you can do so on the web link below. And before we start, I just wanted to say, so we've travelled through the numbers. We travelled through 1 to 9, which are the human numbers. We then started what are commonly known as the master vibrations. So we've already done 11. We now move on to the life path 22. So what is there to say about life path 22? Well, the life path 22 is also known as the master builder. And the reason being is the number 22 has very strong, powerful links to the world of matter, to the world of materials, to the world of the physical, tangible reality, which ultimately is spirit made flesh. Anybody on any kind of spiritual path eventually comes to that realization, right? And we always start, and then we reach the understanding that each and every one of us holds a spark of the divine within us. And that all of the master number vibrations as life paths, they're all here to help humanity in some way. They're all here to be of service in some way, shape or form. And I really hope that although I'm not a master number vibration in my life path, I do carry the Aquarius energy, that I can bring you as much information as is going to help you on your path to unlock who you truly are and what it is that you are here to do. So the life path 22, like I said, strong links to matter. In terms of the master number vibrations, we never simplify them. But if you were to simplify 22, it would give you the number 4, right? What is 4 is all to do with stability, structure, the foundation of things, the organization of things, the hierarchical nature of nature itself, whereby we realize that it is complete and whole and perfect in and of itself, even if the design doesn't fit what we would technically or scientifically maybe understand as as perfect, but it is perfect and it is perfection in and of itself. So the life path number 22 is here, as I said, to tap into this idea and this understanding that anything that can be conceived of in the mind, anything that can be thought of and dreamt of by the human experience, by the being having the human experience, who is effectively a mini creator, right? They have the ability to see it go from a concept or an understanding or a feeling and turn into something completely real. Now, let me give you an example, right? And I hope you can stay with me because it is kind of a bit out there. You guys know me by now, right? I am a bit out there myself. When you think about physical objects, people saw a need and they poured energy into that thought of need until they came up with an explanation or a tangible result that would fulfill that need. So I'll give you an example of a fork, right? A fork is, what do we use it for? We use it to eat, to pick up our food. It's got 4 spokes, we use it to eat. Ultimately, the person that invented that idea or come up with that idea will have one day thought to themselves, right, I don't want to eat hand to mouth anymore. I want to put something in place that's going to help me pick up my food, and it will help people even maybe who might not have the same mobility as everybody else. And they would have thought about this concept and this understanding, and they would have thought about it and thought about it and thought about it. And they'd have poured enough mental and spiritual as well energy into this idea of having to create something that would bridge that gap, that eventually they understood a shape, and from that shape they thought, right, okay, you know what, I can build that, I can make it from the materials supplied by the earth itself in order to make that thing tangible. So everything that we see around us was imagined into existence. And the life path 22 takes the ability of the 11, who has the ability to, to tap into the sacred imagination, as I called it. If you haven't seen it, check out the Life Path 11 series, in the series, should I say. And the 22 will build on that. They will then take that ability to tap into the sacred imagination, and they will move from the realm of spirit and psychic awareness and ability or energy and shift that into the physical vibration by taking the matter that is already surrounding them and building out of that matter the spiritual and mental and intuitive faculty into a physical object. And therefore you get what is called or known as the master builder. There is a reason they are called the master builder, because anything that you can conceive of, if you were to go, if you're not a life path 22 and you have an idea, this would be the ideal person that would say to you, right, okay, you need to think bigger, you need to think broader. How can we make this thing real for you? So for you, you might have an idea or a dream or a hope or a wish or a goal, and a life path 22 would show you how to realize that dream, that goal. So I've waffled on enough. I'm like nearly 6 minutes in, sorry, but you guys know me by now. Let's talk about some of the lessons and the blessings. And every life path number, whether you are a 1 or anything in between, whether you are 33, they all have lessons and blessings attached. And very often when you go through the lesson, you find your blessing right at the end. So let's talk about these. What are the blessings of the life path 22? So the blessings of the life path 22, mastery. Now, it's no coincidence that in the tarot, in the major arcana, the world card, they call it the world, is actually, although it's numbered number 21, it's actually the 22nd major arcana, which has links to Saturn. When you simplify 22, if you were to do so, which you don't with a master number vibration, it would give you that same energy of grounding, of structure, of organization, but it builds on that. It takes it a higher octave, it takes it further up, and we'll talk about that when we get to the planet, and you'll see what I mean by that. So mastery, and the card of the world is when you become a master at something, when you go up a stage, when you go up a level, when your status changes, when something in and of who you are changes, and you master and experience. So the life path 22, in some way, shape or form or capacity, you are here to master your life. Whatever it is that you do, you have the ability within you to become an absolute master at it. And we all do in some way, shape or form, for sure. That's definitely true, whatever your life path number, but especially if you're a life path 22, it's not enough for you to do something at the surface. You need to take it to the point where you understand it inside out, backwards, and, and then put it, as an example of knowing something to the point of mastery, these people, and it's, these people that can do a Rubik's Cube with a blindfold on, it's that kind of thing of mastering something to the point where you know it so well that you could do it without even thinking about it. Amplification. So, this whole idea that I gave you about the fork and how it becomes a fork, and, there is no spoon. If you've seen The Matrix, then and you'll know why that's kind of funny. Amplification then, you take this spiritual idea, concept or thing or need, and you amplify it to the point where it actually becomes something physical, something tangible. If you have an idea, if anybody has an idea and they took it to a life path 22, that person could take it and do what clear quartz does for spiritual energy. It would amplify it to the point where it became so magnified and so potent that it could literally become anything that it wanted to or needed to. Greatness. All life path to all the master vibrations, 11, 22 and 33. Greatness is a part of your path. If you are, and very often I've seen this with 22s, they have this feeling of just wanting to be sort of behind the scenes, of wanting to be not noticed. All of the master vibrations do in some way, shape or form. And very often with a 22, it's kind of like this feeling of, I'd rather just not be seen. I'd rather not be on the stage, but unfortunately you will be noticed. And the greatness that comes from that, you know, once you accept it, once you don the mantle and say, right, okay, this is a part of my path, I have to take it on board. Once you truly understand that, you can be liberated and you can go on to reach the highest of heights. Now, the other thing as well about this is, as young people, as children, as young people, or in times of unconsciousness throughout the life path, the 22 will very often have had the experience of not being able to do something or not being able to have something, and they would have had this overwhelming it would have felt like an outside or an external obstruction, and they would have felt so frustrated by this that it's like, okay, you know what, if I haven't got that, I will make it. If I'm being told I can't have it, I will do whatever I need to out in the world until I can have it. They, in that way, they have this, you know, uncanny ability to circumvent anything that, you know, it's because they're the original structure builders. If you're telling them it doesn't exist, they will make it. You know, and that's one of the beauties of the Life Path 22. Deeply creative, very tapped into, you know, all things physical, working with their hands, working with the land, being connected to the land is very important to a 22. I mean, it's really important to an 11, but it's even more so important to the 22. And, you know, for some people it takes different shapes or forms. Like, I have a friend who's a 22 who, unless she goes away, you know, to feel the sun on her face and be on a foreign beach somewhere, she doesn't ever feel like she's truly rested. I've got another friend who's a 22 who's a gardener. And if you take him out of, you know, his natural element, he's like, oh, you know, he just can't handle it. He is through and through an earth child, you know, and the 22 has links to the earth, to everything that's physical. And the creative nature comes from that, the ability to think beyond, above and beyond everything that you can see and touch, to, you know, the ability to create anything that you can conceive of. You know, very often you'll find these people gazing at nature and being inspired by it. Gifted, naturally gifted. The 11s, the 22s, the 33s, you all are in some, I mean, we're all gifted in, you know, many ways, but naturally gifted is a part of your path, and ultimately power. Now, one of the things with the 22 life path, they are very physically strong. I mean, their bodies can take the brunt of pretty much anything. You know, they tend to be quite physically, structurally strong. Their health usually tends to be, and this is the interesting thing, if they suffer from burnout, their health will be really bad. If they are on point and looking after themselves in all, you know, on all levels, mental, physical, spiritual, you know, then actually they're very tough, very strong. In terms of their spiritual power, because they dole it out by creating things, being creative, by creating things physically, they don't tend to rise to anger because they usually have a physical outlet for it. For some of them it's dance, you know, or yoga, anything physical that connects you to your body, but in a really deep way. So those are the blessings. What are some of the lessons of the life path? And as you probably noticed, as we've gone through the series of numbers, the lessons have become slightly more complex, or haven't been able to really narrow them down to a single word. And it's because they are broader. The master number vibrations are bigger, they're broader. So how to use energy, you know, really how to use this mental, this spiritual, this emotional energy to create something in the world. And the problem is, as one of my favorite astrologers says, if you don't use your energy, it will use you. And this is the thing with all of the master number vibrations. If you don't use it and use it in the correct way of, you know, service in some way, shape or form, it will implode and it will cause you a lot of problems, very often health problems. So it's really important that the 22 life path does something to make sure that their emotions don't become stagnant, that they don't hold on to things internally, because when they do, it can really wreak havoc on them. So what to build? Master number 22, life path 22 can build anything. The question is what to build. They need to be discerning. It's about choosing what to build, and you know what should be brought into the world. I mean, everything has its place, right? But when you think about like the atom bomb that was dropped on Hiroshima, what to build and what not to build, what is the highest expression of bringing spiritual ideas and understandings into, I mean, I don't know, I'm not a scientist or a physicist at all, but I'm sure there might be a better application for, whatever they dropped on Hiroshima. So that, I'm sure there must be a positive aspect to it that they could use instead of what they did create with it. And this is very much for the Life Path 22. What do they create? What should they build? When to rest, and this goes back to the energy. 22 Life Path has so much energy, and very often they will convince themselves that they are superhuman. And because for the most part, from the outside, looking in, it kind of seems that way. They've got so much energy, they can do so much and get so much done in a day. But even you guys are human, and you need to acknowledge that. Learn when to rest. What deserves your time? This goes back to what to build. What should you spend your emotional and spiritual currency on? What you put into thought, we all know this, filters out into your reality. And if you've got this much powerful energy, if your thoughts are going to dark places or, sort of unconscious places, you can end up filtering that energy out, and people around you will pick it up. It can create a lot of problems for you. Master number vibration people are here to serve in some way, shape or form, right? And by doing so, you need to be as elevated as possible so that you can lead by example. It's part of what you're here for. So service, this goes back to it. The self-sufficiency, all of these amazing things are there for you to utilize in your own life, as well as serve humanity. And therein lie the lesson. It's understanding, right, okay, I don't have to be, and I always say this to everybody, we are all light workers, light bearers, master number vibrations, whatever you want to call us. We are here to serve humanity, but we are not here to be its servants. You need to learn the difference, and knowing the power of a really good no. And honouring your boundaries, honouring yourself in order to say, look, you know what, you are imposing on me now, or, suppressing me or whatever. And they really dislike seeing that happen to other people. So, very often they will fight against that for other people. But being of service, you can build everything that you want, everything that you dream of. Just don't forget that you're here to help everybody else do that as well. Self-sufficient, it says what it says, because they are real team players in the sense of, they want to help people achieve their dreams and stuff. They find it very hard to accept help in return. And that's something that you need to work on, to learn, And then finally, the lesson of magic. And, I know a lot of people are probably like, yeah, well, that's a blessing, that's a gift. It totally is. But just like anything else that can be abused, anything that you can use or abuse will abuse and use you worse than you do it. And this is, this goes back to the thoughts and the intentions, what you do with your magic, what you do with your power. That wasn't a mistake. I put them next to each other to reiterate. What you do with them really matters, really counts. You've been given this amazing ability, this amazing amount of energy and power to create anything that you want, anything that can be conceived of by the human mind or spirit, you can bring into actuality. So what you do with it really counts. It really counts, not just for you, but for the world at large. And that's why it's so, so important. So going on to what I talked about the amplification, the mastery rather, and I was talking about Saturn there. The planet for a Life Path 22 is actually Uranus, which is one of the higher octaves of thought, and I was talking about this mastery, about the next step up, about where you go from there. And in that way, when you think about Uranus, it's about the higher octaves of thought. It's about the superconscious mind. It's about what is beyond what we can understand in this physical realm, or what we as human beings can conceive of. Life Path 11, 22 and 33, they have an ability to almost pierce the heavens to bring back specific and certain information. And one of the reasons it needs to be used well and astute is because it is divine energy and power that you're channeling. you start to mess around with that, and you know, all of the master numbers will bite you in the bum if you misuse them. I've probably noticed that out of the 3, the 22 seems to suffer the most, either mentally or physically, when they misuse or, you know, unconsciously direct their energy. And this is why I say, when I say misuse, some people will do that consciously, in which case it will really bite them in the bum. But then, you know, if you're unconscious and you are unawakened to yourself, you know, it will make you tired, it will make you irritable, it will make you ratty, it will give you, you know, nightmares and stuff, until you start to finally look inside and really discover how much power you have and how powerful your brain and your spirit are. And when you start to really tap into that, that's when you then start to evolve and become enlightened. And then the energy starts to work with you. And then it starts to work around everything that you do, instead of going through you and, you know, really creating that, I always want to say that there's a Greek word that we say, but yeah, it's anyway. So what else have I got here? The colours for the Life Path 22, Burgundy, because it's a really high vibration. For those of you that do manifesting work or spiritual work, Burgundy, because of its frequency, enables you to bring things into actuality, and it speeds up that vibration. It speeds up, so any spell work that you do, any energy work that you do, if you add the color Burgundy to it, it tends to bring it to you faster. But again, it's not to be misused, you know, willy-nilly. Oh well, yeah, I'll slap some Burgundy on it, get it here quicker. You know, it's about being conscious and doing it the right way, when it feels right, when it feels appropriate. Also worth mentioning, because I mentioned this for the 11s as well, if you are in this state of, oh, well, you know, I'm a 22, so you're missing the point of your entire vibration. Okay, just putting it out there. I know most of you are probably quite wizened to it, but it's always worth mentioning. So the gems, sea coral, and I find that quite interesting, and it makes a lot of sense actually when you think of what it is, where it comes from, how much energy has gone, you know, how much life has gone through that piece of coral. You know, when you think about the Great Barrier Reef, it's protective, it's physical, it's got so many amazing attributes. So yeah, sea coral, beautiful. It's not necessarily a gemstone, but you know what I mean. And your metal is rose gold. So gold that is pink tinged effectively, and you know, with the vibration of the thingy, it kind of makes sense, doesn't it? So the master builder is here to make the spiritual material. We talked about that at length. Difficult early life, but then they go on to strive, absolutely. And I've seen this in practice with somebody very close to me. They tend to have a really difficult upbringing, but then go on to absolutely strive, and determined. Oh, don't put a rock in front of them, because they'll break the rock with their head. You know, and I love you guys for it, you know I do. To assist humanity to build everything that it desires. I love that. And because I was musing over it, and I was like, what are they here to do? And that feels right to me. To assist humanity to build its truest desires. And at core depth, what do we really want? We all want to, you know, Kelly Rosano said this just recently, we all want to eat good, we all want to live well, we all want to, you know, be happy, be safe, be comforted, you know, we all want the planet to be healthy, to thrive and survive. We all want the same things. And, you know, the Life Path 22 is here to show us how to achieve that for everybody across the board, as opposed to just a few, and, you know, leave the masses to, I'm not going to go down that path because I'll go on a rant. They can suffer from burnout if the energy is used wrong, already mentioned that, to generate wealth and abundance and material success and gain. This is a part of your life path. It's a part of your life path to be wealthy, to be physically and materially comfortable. And the reason being is because you're supposed to share it, and you're supposed to show other people by example, this is how you generate wealth, this is how you keep wealth, and this is what you do with wealth once you have it. Has a knack for making ideas real. By determination of spirit, sees things completed. Absolutely love that, because that is the truth of it. And then finally, to use money to benefit all but not be materialistic. And that's a real juxtaposition, right? Because you're effectively here to do and gain all things material, but you're not supposed to be seduced by the materials themselves, to, you know, into believing that that's all there is, and fill in the rest for yourselves. I sound a bit like a preacher now, but you know what I mean. So finally, jobs and vocations for the life path 22. No doubt then, building, masonry, sheltered housing and projects, CEOs of companies, because they can build a company from the ground up, like literally from the ground up, from grassroots right to an empire state building. That is the sort of person that you're dealing with when you've got a 22. Military, the sort of person that will go in as a foot soldier and finish as, you know, whatever the high stuff is. I don't, you know, generals and lieutenants, and you get what I mean. Like, they'll start as what we, you know, what's known as a foot soldier, and they will work themselves right up to the top ranking figures. Public speakers, these people have the ability to rile people up and get them, you know, get the masses ready to go to whether it's, you know, hopefully not battle with this kind of vibration, but you know what I mean, to get stuff done. Facilitators and professors, anybody to do with metaphysics, you know, metaphysical understanding, and how that affects humanity. Geometrists, physicists, scientists, philosophers, corporate builders, housing specialists, creators and sculptors, chiropractors and osteopaths, and I will leave you to work out why, because it's about structure, right? Physical, the actual, the real, the tangible. Manual therapist in any way, shape or form. They do better as manual therapists because they're more about the physicality. But behind that, make no mistake, there is a lot of energy work that takes place. Gardeners, landscapers, interpreters, believe it or not, and diplomats and peace negotiators. The 22 will always seek to balance things out. Ultimately, it is the double power of 2, right? So it will always seek that balance. And one of the reasons it's so creative and so linked to beauty as well is that in order for something to be considered beautiful, it actually has to have a certain amount of balance and symmetry in its proportions. That's one of the things as well, you know, when you recognize physical beauty of the face, the more symmetrical your face is, the more beautiful you are, you apparently appear to people, or to, you know, in general. So that is the Life Path 22 in and of a 27-minute nutshell. I hope you get something from this. I wish you all an abundance of love, light, peace, prosperity and abundance itself. Take care, and I will see you for the last in the series very soon. If you haven't, check out all of the other Life Path numbers, because while you may not be one, you will know somebody that is. Take care, and I'll see you soon.